Pass me the torch, still blazing. Try to break my will so I won't change. I'm changing too much, but I can't keep still. Fight for the ones who saved me. I'm bleeding red like the ones we're saving. I'm not breaking. Catching up to the power I'm chasing.
Burn your tree to the ground. May chaos take the world. May chaos take the world.
I'm a virus, tell me if you notice. Cause I might get buried when the day gets long. 80 hours up, out of focus. Top of this thorn in my side, I'm so gone. See me fly but never like to see me jet lagged. Hear the whisper on the wind, we're all alone. Bad fire on my back like a jetpack. Cause I don't wanna see the ash before it snows. Let me unravel. My arms are shattered, but I can't lose this battle. It's all I am. Pass me the torch, still blazing. Try to break my will so I won't change. I'm changing too much, but I can't keep still. Fight for the ones who save me. I'm bleeding red like the ones we're saving. I'm not breaking. Catching up to the power I'm chasing. Fight the pain in the back of my eyes. They're fixed on the far-off horizon. And if I'm gonna go up in flames, then at least I'll still be rising. I guess I'm caustic, but I don't really notice with these toxins before they start exploding. Leave my options.
And we're live. Hello to all you BC Wrestle Pod nerds out there. It has been a hot minute since we've been here, but welcome to NXTilosos, your NXT review squad, the most stylish NXT review squad on the internet. Don't quote me on that. I am one of your hosts, Mikey, and joining me this evening we have, well, I mean, we announced it a couple weeks ago, but we have the whole entire trio together for this one. Will is back from digging in the trenches that was the life of theater, and what a big one, because now he's going to have to review the Go Home show and do predictions for Deadline. So, well, I mean, let's just do that. Will is here. Hi, Will. Happy to have you finally.
I know, right? I feel a little behind the curveball here, though.
Don't worry, we're gonna fill you in.
Good, because I've got questions.
Just when you thought you were out, we pulled you back in.
Oh, I love that. Great reference.
Willingly.
I appreciate it. See, I know my stuff like 60% of the time. And of course, rounding out our trio is Mr. Macho Rodriguez, newest family member to the BC WrestlePod family and the homie for life, for sure. Macho, I'm happy to have you here. I'm so excited. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. I love it. We're like the triple threat. We got Chris Candido and the franchise Shane Douglas, and then yeah, that's fine. I'll play the Francine role. That's okay. It's all good. I love it. It's all good. I know Lance Storm is thrown in there in the future, so it's like whatever. But we don't have any Lance Storm personalities with the three of us. We're all like
No.
more like Chris Candido. Lots of fun.
I love that. So this is going to be a fun show. Before I get into all of the obligatory, I am El Jefe, so I got to do all the stuff. This one's going to be a fun one. We are going to review the NXT that occurred last night on Tuesday, December 3rd. And then we're also going to be making our predictions and talking a little about this final deadline card, because deadline, the final PLE for NXT is this Saturday. And then stay tuned for announcements when it comes to that, because we'll talk about how we are reviewing that next week. But if you are new here, welcome. Hi, bienvenidos, hola, bonjour, all the things. And if you want to keep up with us in our... I try to be multilingual, but if you...
There's some French in there. It's all good.
I love it. And of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg of the shenanigans that goes down here on BC Wrestle Pod. So if you want to keep up with all of the shenanigans that go down, make sure to follow us all over the social medias. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitch. We have Patreon. We have merchandise. So look at the link below for amazing stuff. It is cold out here. We are getting closer to actual winter weather for some of us. Some of us, we're still in the heat that is, the desert sometimes during the day, and then cold as hell at night. But what a perfect way to celebrate the holiday season for others or for yourself, and, buy some merch. I'm just putting it out there. And of course, you can download the Next Level app, and you can look us up at BC Wrestle Pod, where all our social medias and other fun stuff is. It is a grand time. But yes, now that I've gotten the obligatory stuff out of the way for our YouTube, Twitch, podcasting network, conglomeration, syndicate thing that we got going on, let's just jump straight into the action. NXT kicks off. We get our intro theme. Vic Joseph runs down what to expect for tonight, and we just jump straight into immediately for our first match, which is the Women's Last Chance Iron Survivor qualifier. Yeah. So this sees the 4 that lost their qualifying matches over the last couple of weeks have one more chance to earn the final spot in the women's deadline at the pay-per-view. And this one sees a fatal 4-way that is made up of Jada Parker, Cora Jade, Ren Sinclair, and my homegirl for life, Kalani Jordan. So, okay, this match, I feel like we're going to have a varying degrees of certain things. I love these 4 women. I want to preface by saying that. I also understand that a lot of them have a different leveling of abilities when it comes to in-ring experience and just the in-ring stuff. I think this might be a little presumptuous of me to say, but I feel like Kalani Jordan led and Cora led most of the match of the 2 of them. Ren is still fairly new. Jada Parker is getting better. I love me some Miss Jada Parker, but definitely Kalani and Cora were leading this match a little bit. Yeah. I don't know about either of you, but I felt like because they were leading the match and we had to kind of make sure everyone was good to go, I felt like parts of this match were in slow motion for me personally. So I was like, okay, where's my next cue? Okay, let's go over there. Where am I going next? And I love all 4 of these women, but it did not help that all 4 of them were varying degrees of skill level. And then also there was a lot of slow motion moments where it was stopped. I still enjoyed it. I know some people don't like a screwy finish. I am okay in this, especially because what we get not even like 2 minutes later into the show with what goes down later. But towards the tail end of this match, Cora is down. Kalani Jordan is ready to, get the finishing blow. She does not, because it doesn't go down the way. Lola Vice comes out to cause Jada Parker and pull her out of the ring. Some miscues happens, which causes Ren Sinclair to get knocked upside the head. and she falls perfectly onto Cora Jade, which gives her the 3 counts. So the winner and earning the 5th and final spot for the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge at Deadline is No Quarter Catch Cruz Ren Sinclair. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of surprised to see her pick this up, but I am happy nonetheless. So, Macho, I'm gonna come to you first. So how do we feel about this match?
I thought this match was really wonky, and I was shocked at the Ren Sinclair. I'm not gonna lie, I knew for certain that Jada was not winning. I knew that for a fact. Like, oh nope, she's not winning. We know she's in a feud. I thought they might give it to Kalani because this is a kind of a ladder match. So I thought that she made sense for that role. But I really thought it was going to be Cora. I felt like Cora led this match a lot. She took a lot of bumps for people. She sold a lot. She took the pin. I felt like Kalani did she did her best Sammy Guevara impression during this match, without, injuring people or injuring herself. She looked really good. I definitely, it's weird to have a fatal 4-way for a last spot. I felt like there should have been more effort to this is like our last chance. It didn't feel like a last chance type of match to me at all. And then I felt like the climax of the match, which I find really odd, was the interference. I don't think that's like that was the most exciting part of the match for me.
Yeah, this was tough to watch, and I love our NXT girls, but this for me personally, this wasn't it. Will, I come to you next? So, of course, me and you had a whole entire conversation over the course of you watching this as well. So, Will, what did you think?
I thought it was slow and sloppy. And I hate that.
Yeah.
I think NXT missed a great opportunity here. And to me, it just felt like, it's what we do. So let's just throw them in a ring and let them do their thing. And I'm just like, and Jada, we already knew Jada had beef. So we knew that was going to be a thing. Because, I mean, the minute it started and they came in, I was like, okay, when is she going to get pulled out to face? And then it happened, of course. And I am not about that type of finish. I am not about the, oh, look, she got knocked out and landed on somebody and then they got counted out. I'm not here for that. Especially considering now I would have been here for it if this match had been far more exciting. But it wasn't. And I hate that because I love all the women, because I love all the women wrestlers. But it felt so contrived. And I was just like, that's when I was like, really? It's like, come on. I mean, at least, have Ren Sinclair pin her legitimately. If you're gonna, if that's what you want to do, then have her pin her legitimately. Not. Oh, look, I got hit in the head and I fell backwards onto her, and it's like, really? Look. Obviously this last spot is not important because this match showed us that this last spot was not important. Because Kalani or Corden, neither of them were in it. So if one of those two had been in that last spot, it would have felt far more legitimate to me. This just literally did not feel like it was legitimate. And I hate that for Ren, because I like Ren Sinclair, and I hate that this feels sort of accidental. It's like you don't actually deserve to be there. Which is exactly as it comes across. And I hate that.
It's also overplayed, right?
Oh, it
did
is.
Ethan Page not win the championship with this exact finish? Didn't he get knocked? Trick Williams hit him with his trick shot and he just fell. That's how he won the title.
It happened. Yeah, it happened at Heatwave in the fatal 4-way situation too. Trick got, Ethan, and Sean Spears pulled Trick out of the ring, which allowed Ethan to fall onto Javon for the win.
Yeah. See, and that's a sad thing about it is, and I messaged you about it, Mikey, about TNA. They have like a little file box of like certain things that they do, and I think they just kind of go, what can we recycle tonight? Oh, hey, we do this a lot. Let's do this tonight. And I'm like, stop using the same things over and over and over again, because it happens later on in this episode as well. Because that's the one I was messaging you about. It's like, and I'm like, why do they keep doing that? Stop. Let that woman win that match legitimately. Or not at all. That was my big thing about this match.
I think the funny thing is that when we were at this point last year for NXT's deadline, I feel like we were saying the same thing. NXT usually is very strong throughout the year, and it's not just NXT. I feel like a lot of wrestling companies kind of like are holding it together as we get through the last month of 2024. Everything went down. It's kind of nuts, but I agree with both of you. I feel so bad for Ren because I do also really like her. But when I'm looking at the final field with her and the other four, I'm just like, Ren, I love you, but and this is no shade. I love your character. I think you're fantastic. I love that you're with No Quarter Ketcheru. You are not at the level as the other four girls that are in that match, and it sucks.
Yep.
Because I think I just want to redo, because if you compare the field last year of the women's deadline to this year, the women's I'm mostly excited for, but Ren feels so out of place with this. I think Kalani or Cora would have been better faced, because we literally have a dominant field for the women, which we'll talk about in our predictions. But Red picks up the victory. That is what happens. That is what goes down. It was chaotic in its outright. And, we go backstage. Our interviewer, Sarah, is interviewing Eddie Thorpe. So, we talk about what went down last week, in which Shawn Michaels pinned Eddie Thorpe against the wall because, he thinks that Eddie was the reason that Ava got hurt last week. It was a whole thing. I'm like, Shawn Michaels, you do realize that we have cameras, right? So shouldn't you have... Anyways, we weren't here last week. We're not...
It's because if you think about the show, The Young Rock, like, he wasn't on The Rock's show. He had heat with The Rock. So it's like, of course, his daughter goes down. I'm going to catch the blame for this. So he's like, he's got to defend The Rock's daughter.
Thank goodness. So Eddie's just like, you know what? It was an accident. Ava didn't even say it was Eddie last week. Anyways, I digress. That was last week's show. We're on this week's show. I was so mad last week. But Eddie talks about what happened. Shawn Michaels and Ava looked at the footage. They, it wasn't Eddie's fault for what happened. And so he is going to earn that final spot in the Iron Survivor Challenge, which I'm here for. And I'm biased as hell because I love me some Eddie Thorpe. And then we get Lexis King walking up to interrupt this promo. And he tells Eddie that he needs to watch his anger issues. And Eddie tells Lexis that he doesn't need any advice from a man with his own daddy issues. Lexis says he is not his dad, and he has proved it. And he's going to do what his dad couldn't and win the title, which begins tonight. Eddie tells Lexis to, because Lexis then goes for the side hug, and Eddie's like, don't touch me, and walks off. We were doing okay. And then Lexis came in. I was like, I know we got to get stuff before the match, which is going to be main eventing the show, the men's last chance, match. But I'm like, we just threw Charlie Dempsey and Lexis King being a thing out the window for right now. It seems like, all right, sure, fine. We'll see if we revisit this. This was a weird segment. I was like, what is this? I'm like, okay, fine, whatever.
I mean, I'm a fan of Lexus, so I'm enjoying them. I think I think what is happening is we are moving towards the loose cannon. That's what I think is happening. Okay. I think that I wouldn't even be surprised, and believe it or not, I know this is going to be like one of those things that I think you're going to love this. I would not be surprised if he gets attacked backstage and somebody shaves his beard.
That would
Like
be
I feel like
wild.
that we're
Well-
we're at the point where I feel like that would be like that might set him
Well,
off.
I mean, it wouldn't be that hard. All you really need is a cotton swab and some makeup remover.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise. He walked onto that screen. Okay, first of all, let me preface this with this.
Oh,
I don't
here we
dislike him actually. He's actually grown on me. And I think in the match later, I mean, he wrestled pretty damn well. I was kind of surprised. So I'm not hating on him, but however, I can't. When he walked on that screen and it is literally painted on his face.
Yeah.
There was because I got close and I was looking and I was like, there is no hair on his face. It's all painted on. And I can't with that. I'm sorry. I cannot because it looks ridiculous. I'm like, it looks, and this is just me, Will out here looking like, what the hell are you doing? Who told you that was cool? Because it's not. And it changes shape every time, which is okay.
Yeah.
And I get it because you can't shave your beard that quickly into different shapes. But if you're gonna do it, make it look real, please.
Yeah.
I don't care. You want to paint it on, but give me some theatricality of it. Some actual like, oh, it looks like real facial hair. No, there was no hair.
Somebody
on
needs to
his
hook
face.
Lexus King up with either a very good theater person or even let him go. I'm just saying this. We are all inclusive here. I was like, Lexus King, you need to take some lessons from some drag kings out here because they do better facial hair makeup than you are doing right now. Like, what is happening?
And his aesthetic has grown on me. It really has.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that I can't get on board with it. I won't get on board with it. I won't. It's the one point where if he came in, if he was right in front of me, I'd be like, I love you and I love what you got going on, but this has got to go away.
Yeah.
Or you need to grow a real one and put it in a certain style and leave it that way, and then grow it out and cut it in a different way. But this makeup outline, harsh edge thing that you've got going has got to stop. That's got to stop. I'm sorry. Because I don't even know what the hell that line thing was up there. I was just like, you don't even have facial hair that goes that high. What is that? Yeah, it's literally all I could do is focus on his face. And not even like all of it. Literally right here. And I was like, what's going on again? I had to rewind it and watch it again because it kept distracting me.
I think, I love that he's able to get those emotions out of people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best part. Like, it's just like, okay, he's doing his job. He's getting a reaction. That he's doing great.
That he needs a better makeup artist.
Yes, he really does. And it's weird too because I look at some of the beards and some of the people some of the hairstyles and all the stuff that we see in WWE, Roman's changed his facial hair like 4 times. He used to have the goatee, and then he has like the beard all the way up to the shaved part of his head, all the way up to the taper of like where his hair is. Now he's got like what they call like the ghost beard, where it's kind of like already kind of like, and I can see it, and it's like, all right, they have some really good people working there. And like I mentioned Roman's facial hair because it changed so much, but come on now. Bailey has she comes out with that beautiful hairstyle every single week. And
It changes it up all the time and it looks great.
Yeah.
Lexus needs to talk to the NXT girlies because the NXT girls also do really good things.
Except for Nikita. Don't talk to Nikita.
Well, maybe
we will talk about her later in a bit.
Nikita. Oh God. Maybe he just can't grow facial hair. Maybe that's what it is. Like real facial hair, not like
that could also be a thing.
Maybe he's patchy and so he has to.
Oh yeah.
Lexus King,
I don't know.
Let us know. Comment below. Send us a DM. Come on our show. We have these are the questions we want to know.
These are the burning questions.
These are the burning questions.
Lexus King, I grew up with your father, so let's go. I would have lots of conversations. The amount of war games and cage matches and Flying Brian matches, and
that's fair.
God,
and I would have makeup tips.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
conversations we would have with Lexus would be fun. But speaking of conversations, let's talk about Miss Jada Parker because Homegirl was not having it when we come back. She walks out with a brick in her hand. So let's break this up in two parts and then we'll just dissect everything as a whole. And we're 25 minutes in. I'm dropping my one of two curse words for this episode. This shit was wild. Okay. So first, she comes out, she gets on the mic, she's like, nah, you know what? We about to fight. I'm about to fight Lola Vice now. So if you want this underground match, let's do it right now. And she's yelling at the rest to put the ropes down and then take them down. I was like, oh, okay, I don't think we're getting it tonight, but hey, this is fun setup. Whoever was behind the scene either is getting fired or is getting written up because they did not push that button fast enough as she was yelling the ref. And if you go back and watch this episode, like they immediately cut to commercial. Booker T is my spirit animal in this whole thing because she's yelling at the ref and then she drops the N-word. She's like, you heard what I said. And I was like, oh my gosh, this got through the censor. Now, of course, she could say it, but at the same time, I was like, and I kid you not, boys, I had to stop and I had to rewind to make sure it wasn't just me that misheard. And then watching it a couple more times, I'm like, oh, she dropped it. She definitely dropped it. And then immediately go to commercial. We come back in the middle of this whole thing. And I'll quote this. So Jada Parker's in the ring now with brick in hand, and she's talking to the camera while also addressing Lola. And she says, you want to cost me my qualifier not once, but twice. Well, now we got to run this shit back. So, baby, I ain't leaving this ring. And this is like, bitch, I'm about to come get you, get your ass out here. I was like, the amount of curse words they had to bleep for their section. That person was like, the N-word got through, but they're like, we can't be taking chances with here. So Lola says this. Ava comes out to the midst, tells Jada that we ain't doing this underground match tonight, but you will get an opportunity and we will have an NXT underground match, Jada Parker versus Lola Vice at Deadline. I was like, all right, cool. We set it up. And then it got weird because then, Lola came out during the match. She went back into the back and then she came back out again for this one. And so she gets on the mic. She says that Jada, ain't going. This is her turf with the NXT Underground. There's no way she's going to do it. And Jada Parker lays Ms. Lola out, who sells this really fun. And that is the end of the segment. So we are getting an underground match at Deadline. The last time we got an underground match at a pay-per-view, I did not necessarily had some very nice things to say about it. Even though I love the women that were involved, it was just really slow. And Shawn Michaels did no favors to Shayna. I'm just putting it out there. Poor Shayna, man, because she suffered the most in that match with Lola. And I felt so bad for Shayna. But anyways, I don't even know where to begin. Like, I don't even want to talk about the fact that Lola get laid out. It's the fact that NXT is letting Jada Parker run the way that she is. And I'm just like, I am not appalled. Appalled's not the right word. I'm just like, I am thoroughly shocked, but I am also hella impressed. And the authenticity that Ms. Jada Parker is to herself and the way that she's presenting herself to the audience, I cannot be mad at it. I'm just like, oh, damn. NXT just kind of let her run with the ball for this episode with how she gonna speak. And I kind of dug it because now she's more of a badass. I mean, she's always been a badass, but now I'm like, Miss Jada Parker, I think I like you a little bit more now. Like, I was so confused upon first watch through. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. Second watch through, I was like, I see it, and I think you're a badass. I mean, I don't even know where to start. Like, Will, I guess we'll go with you first.
I mean,
what?
I've always liked Jada. I've always, since she first got there, I've always liked her. I've thought that. Funny thing is this is the Jada that I've always wanted because we've always seen her kind of held back. And I don't know if that was the company holding her back, going, okay, girl, you can't be so ghetto. We need you to be more sophisticated, less
It also
street.
didn't help that she
know?
was also in OTM where she didn't really.
Yeah.
She kind of outgrown them, and that's why they're
Yeah.
probably separated at this point now.
Well, I mean, because she was the most interesting thing about them. Because when she came out with it, because I remember the very first time she came out with them, remember we were like, wow, they're completely different. Because she like put them in check. And I was like, ooh, I really like her. I like her a lot. And now when I watch this, I'm like, this is the Jada I want. I want this one. Who is like, I will literally take a brick and put it and push it down your throat. You know, I mean, it's like that sort of thing. And I'm just like, I love it. I absolutely love it. Of course, I love like strong women anyway, but she, man, I was just like, wow. And then when Lola came out, and Lola's a strong woman too. So these two in that ring, man, you could just feel that energy just starting to collect between them. I was waiting for the hit. I was like, somebody's going to hit somebody. It's like, and when she's like, oh, I don't need it, and she tossed the brick, I was like, oh, here it goes. And then boom, laid Lola out. I was like, ooh. And then what was it? 7 refs were like, they're like, oh gosh, Lola, are you okay? And Jada's just like, and I'm like, get her, girl, get her. And I was like, yeah, this is the Jada that we all didn't know we needed. Because man, she energized me, man. I'm not even kidding. If I had been sitting ringside when she was doing this, I'd be screaming her name. I would be screaming her name.
I love this. Macho, let's hear your perspective on this. So what did we think of Miss Jada Parker here?
Well, I think this is the best version of her character we've ever gotten. And we've talked about this a lot. I mentioned this before we went live here. I think the three of us had this conversation during one of our first shows that she is just her like authentic self. It's unapologetic. This is exactly who she is. I believe this is who she is like in real life. I think that we are getting the best version. And there's this old quote that I love to bring up in moments like this with wrestlers like this. Stone Cold Steve Austin once said on his podcast before it became the Broken Skull Sessions, he said, all Steve Austin was Steve Williams with the volume turned up. That's exactly what we're getting in Jada Parker. She is herself, and it's just the volume turned up for the character. And I think it's the best version of her, like by far. And honestly, I think this is the type of match where it's like, oh, this is Lola's game, so this is a great way like to get her over in this feud. But what we saw last night could be a star-making moment. That was so brilliant. It felt so real. And it was just like, I can see the people in the back creative. They're probably scrambling. They're probably like, oh my God, was this her Austin 316 promo? I mean, I'm not trying to compare her to the greatest character in the history of professional wrestling here, but I'm just using him for this example. But did she have that moment, with Michael P.S. Hayes as like, is Lola playing the Jake the Snake Roberts role? Like, she's like there. She just happens to be there. And Jada just completely obliterates her on the mic. And I could see them scrambling and being like, yeah, I'm sorry, Lola. This was supposed to be a W for you, but we need to push Jada now. Like, she's giving it to us right now. And it sucks for Lola because it would be the second straight PLE loss, but what Jada did last night was she didn't go into business for herself. She just went out there and she did her job, and she just did it exceptionally well.
I think they're you're right I'm going to agree with you. I think they were in the back going, how can we sell this? Holy goodness. How do we bottle it and sell it to everybody? Because the audience was going crazy too.
Yeah, but if you think about it, the last character we got this authentic was NXT Bianca Belair. Yeah, this was how she was there. She was just herself. Remember when she first started coming up, she was very timid. She was just athletic. And then all of a sudden we heard, the first time I knew something was up was the first time Bianca said, and then all of a sudden it was like, girl. And then all of a sudden it just started like, you don't even go here. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
She
hold on. a
cranked it
minute.
up to 10, and that is the
Yes,
Bianca
it
Belair that I
flipped.
fell in love with.
Yes. NXT Bianca is the whole reason I will never utter a single bad word about that woman. She is just brilliant.
Same. Oh,
Yeah,
she's so
she is.
fantastic.
Oh my god! That promo with Rhea, Charlotte, and Bianca, it lives rent free in my head. Yeah, and that was the Jada like moment we got yesterday. It was just brilliant, and yeah, they definitely have a really good problem on their hands.
They really do, and you got to strike when the iron is hot, because this is a story that I'm invested in. Unlike the other thing we got to quickly talk about, because as soon as this is all done, we go backstage. We have Carmen Petrovic, Dion Lennox, and Brinley Reese talking about, Ashanti the Adonis. I'm just going to kind of quickly go through this because I've already made my feelings known on this whole thing. But, there was some drama that happened because now Nikita Lyons is thrown into the story for some reason, which makes... anyways, we'll get to that match when we get there. But basically, Ashanti sends flowers to Carmen. Dion's like, boy is the player. Girl, you need to run. Brinley's like, you should give him a chance. And Brinley, are you out of your gosh darn mind, girl? Like, nah, fam, nah. But, she's like, I'm going to go put this roses away, you guys. I'm going to get ready for my match. And I'm just sitting here. I'm like, I thought okay, we're still going. All right, fine. I don't want to talk about it anymore. If your boys are good, we can move on.
I mean,
right,
I
cool.
honestly had nothing to say about it. So,
but
I got plenty to say about the Nikita match when we get there.
Yeah, I'm gonna save all that for that. But the girls are fighting, and Fraxium is fighting because that is what happens next. Axiom. I've already said my piece on all this. I'm gonna bring this up when we do predictions. But Axiom and Nathan Frazier, Nathan's kind of being a turd, and Axiom's like, bro, you need to focus. It's not all about you. And we're gonna talk about it during predictions because this is one of those, do it or get off the pot moments, so to speak, with this. And I'm gonna wait until predictions. But they're backstage. Nathan says that I'm locked in. I'm watching this battle royale to see who we're gonna have to face. Well, actually, Axiom is Nathan is off in his own La La Land for a little bit. And then Axiom and Nathan are just like, bro, what is going to happen? I'm trying to get ready for this final qualifying match and you're somewhere else. Like, what's going down? And Nathan's like, bro, it's okay. I'm watching this battle royale. I have to fight twice. And Axiom's like, don't you mean we? And Nathan's like, oh yeah, we're going to fight twice if you qualify. And that immediately told me Axiom was not going to Deadline in that Iron Survivor match. So we then cut to the ring where we get a battle royale to see who becomes the number one contenders for Fraxium's tag team championships. The winners goes on to face them at Deadline. This is just a small little thing that they added for this, but normally I hate tag team battle royales because the rules have always been, for the most part, if one person gets thrown over, the whole team is eliminated. Thank goodness NXT did not do this. So they're like, if one person gets thrown over from a team, their team is still in it because both members have to be thrown over in order for the team to be eliminated. Really quickly, before we get into this, Mr. Jaden Young, do you think they'll push Lexis King or is it just a waste? I hope they push Lexis in some capacity, but we got to figure some stuff out first. I'll just leave it at that. So all the teams are in here. I'm just looking at this, and again, I'm probably going to get some people mad at this. It's really hard because we have really not done too much to build up like a team that will rival Fraxium, because Nathan and Axiom have kind of gone through a majority of our tag teams already. And so, again, we're kind of starting at ground zero. Outside of the Gallus boys, everybody else is a newer tag team, especially the newest tag team being Josh Briggs and our homeboy from Pro Wrestling Noah, too. I was just like, y'all, I mean, he's been there for like the last 2 weeks. So if anybody has any questions, so this individual is from wrestling, Noah Pro Wrestling, which is a Japanese wrestling. NXT and Noah have some sort of like collaboration going on right now. Josh Briggs and Tavion Heights got sent over to Japan to compete in like their version of the G1 Climax tournament. And so now Noah has sent this wrestler to kind of be on an excursion, if you will, in NXT. So I was very surprised. This is how we're going to get them debuting in this, because I was like, yeah, it makes sense for Josh and him to be paired. They fought each other in Japan, all that good stuff. I'm going to be honest, boys. On paper, I was not looking forward to this. By the end of this match, I'm like, well, damn, this was awesome. I enjoyed this match so freaking much. And I think that is because I was like, because everybody, most of the tag teams outside of the Gallus Boys are newer tag teams, we got to see different stuff. My highlights include, my boys of Tariq and them. I love them. Hank and Tank surprised the hell out of me. I was like, you guys are goofballs, but I want to root for you so hard. Miles Bourne winning this match for his team makes me excited, and Tavion also did the damn thing too. So, spoiler alert, No Quarter Catch Crew picks up the win, and you guys, I'm actually kind of rooting for them for Deadline. I want to see No Quarter, especially if it's Miles and Tavion. I have grown to love them so much over the last couple of months. Will and I have got to see a different light to Miles and Tavion, especially when they got to fight at Slammiversary in TNA over the summer, and Tavion killing it at the, Pro Wrestling Noah tournament in Japan. Like, oh man, I'm excited for them. It's going to be great. I'm super excited. Macho, I'm going to come to you first. This was a battle royale with tag teams. What did you think? What are some of your standout moments?
I don't know if I have any standout moments. This was so convoluted for me. I mean, I guess I'm gonna have to disagree. I did not enjoy this match. I felt like there was a lot of it didn't give me the opportunity to get to know every tag team. Like, there's some of these guys that I'm just not really familiar with yet. And I felt like this was really rushed. Like, I really felt like, and I know this is going to sound weird, I really felt like it was No Quarter Catch Crews to lose. Like, I didn't even really feel like any of the other tag teams were really going to win. And I feel so much so that I was thinking about this, that if there wasn't a specific injury to a tag wrestler, I think that that Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson probably win this match if they're in it. Like, that's kind of how I feel about it. And I was just like, okay, like, because they were sent back to NXT to do all that stuff, and this is the tag titles that's like missing from their, from their trophy case. But I feel like, yeah, this match was fine for me. I was more so surprised than I believe the next match than I was this match. And the promo after this also, like, it really made me forget. The moment I heard "I'm Bad" in the next song, I forgot this match even happened.
Yeah, it was a really weird blip. And of course, I will also add to the fact I personally enjoyed it, but I agree with you, especially if you're not familiar with these tag teams. It doesn't help that a lot of these tag teams I've come to know, but that's only because I've checked out Next, like, Level Up, which, for NXT is like quintessentially like your taped that go to Peacock dark matches, so to speak, when people are there for NXT. So it doesn't help. And so, Tariq and them are on Level Up a lot more. And so I know them because I watch it, but I 100% agree with you that a lot of these tag teams, and again, I found it weird that Josh and his new tag team partner debuted this way. I was like, huh? Like, all right, sure, fine. Will, I come to you next with the Battle Royale. Like, how do we feel?
Well, I mean, I know these tag teams. Well, except for,
Josh and his partner.
I was just like, what is this? I think I even sent you a message going, when did this happen? Because I'm like, I was just like, this, I mean, okay. I was like, all right, well, I'll go with it, whatever. But I also didn't really enjoy it. And it's not, and I think my reasons are different because I just don't like this type of thing. I mean, it was like,
It's weird.
see,
having
I
a
actually
tag
think
team
it's
battle royale.
I actually think it's more exciting if once one's out, they're both out, because then there's stakes. When everybody has a chance. So, oh, my tag team partner got thrown over the rope. Well, we still have a chance though. See, it kind of cheapens it a little bit. I think that, so then because see, and this is my big thing, is then it doesn't become a tag team anything. It becomes a one-on-one. It's like, because I've no danger of my partner. If my partner doesn't get kicked out, and if they do, I'm still okay. But but if you keep it the other way, then it's tag team against tag team, because then it's like me and my partner. If one of us gets out, we're both out. So we need to protect ourselves, or we need to go after somebody, or we need to do that, together. And see, to me, it didn't feel like a team anything, and then of course Josh and his partner kept bitching and moaning the whole damn time.
They could not get on the same page.
No, they could not.
And that was the
of course,
downfall.
Josh kept, going to his partner and just kept like pushing him and like, dude, get your head in the game or whatever. And I'm like, if I was his partner, I'd throw his ass over the first rail, over the first rope. I mean, seriously. So, I mean, I like all these guys. I just don't think the stakes were high enough.
That's
I think
fair.
that, I think that the original rules, I guess, if that's what they are, would have been far more exciting, because then we would have seen like teamwork happening as
That's
opposed
true.
to every man for himself, which became chaotic and kind of, and when you have that much chaos happening, for one thing, your brain just can't, mine can't anyway. And so I just sort of shut it all out. It's like, okay, let me know when there's a winner.
You're right. The crazy thing is because of all these tag teams and of course injuries happen. I mean, Macho, you brought up the OC, are out due to injury. Also I saw a lack of, Idris Enofe and Malik Blade, who we've come to love in NXT as well, but they're out also on injury too. I feel like maybe if we just had like a fatal 4-way, or even just like people qualifying, and then on the go home show, it's like, all right, you two teams, you beat these other two teams, so now you go one-on-one to figure out who's going to face Fraxium. So it's fine. Of course, I'm weird. I love dumb wrestling, so this was fun for me, but I totally agree with both of you guys. And I'm looking at the tag team division, and I'm like, when Fraxium loses these titles, like, we really got to figure out where we're going next with the tag team division, because we are running low, you guys.
And I think I would have rather have seen this as like a tournament,
right,
than a free.
I mean, if we had qualifying matches for Iron Survivor, we could have done a miniature tournament.
Tag teams. Yeah, I mean, how many were there? There were 6 of them, right? Was it 6?
I want 6, maybe 7, 8. 6,
okay.
I think sounds like.
I mean, you had plenty. I mean, you could have spread that out through the night. These two fight, then
or even the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, true. But I mean, if you wanted to do it like in one evening, you could have just be like, these two fight, and whoever wins there goes on to fight these folks, and whoever wins there goes to fight these folks until you get to the end. And I would have done it that would have been far more interesting to me than this. This just did not, to me, it just didn't feel like there was anything at stake.
That is very true and very fair.
And I like goofy wrestling too. I mean, because it has its place, but
I agree. There needs to be actual big stakes to this, and it didn't really deliver on that.
Because I mean, this was basically a contenders match, right? To be the number one contender group. So I mean, and I didn't think it had that weight to it.
Mm-mm.
So that's why I'm sort of like, is this a legitimate challenge to the titles, or is this just let's just throw no quarter catch crew in there and they'll lose and we'll move on? And because then again, we get back to that.
Not.
Well, I agree, and because I hope it's not a throwaway. Because how disrespectful is that to your wrestlers?
Yeah, I think we'll talk more about that when we get to predictions, because I feel like this is a do it or get off the pot moment, so to speak. But I mean, Macho brought up, the theme song, but I'm back hits next. And I absolutely agree. This segment made me forget what we watched prior to this. But Eric Bischoff is here. And I'm like, this man is going to have a busy week. He was on NXT last night. He's about to be running his one shot, for MLW tomorrow night, which, spoiler alert, come check me and Adolfo out as we watch that tomorrow night. It's free on YouTube. It's going to be great. Anyways, Eric Bischoff is here. I'm back hits. Mr. Bischoff says that the NXT is undeniable. This place is undeniable. And it's also undeniable that he has been on the edge of wrestling. So, as the kids say, this man was glazing himself. So, it's fantastic. But then, of course,
so gross. That just sounds so gross.
Listen, I've already made my peace with, you both know what I do for a living. So imagine that, but like multiple times throughout the day. It's no wonder that sometimes I need an ibuprofen when I get home.
and adult time.
Yeah, and some adult time, a way to decompress from children. But anyways, so after Eric Bischoff says all this, he calls out Trick Williams. Well, first first Ridge Holland and then Trick Williams. So Eric Bischoff is here to mediate this final confrontation, if you will. First and foremost, just Ridge now coming out shirtless. So I was like, all right, Lexus King, you need to talk to Ridge Holland. That is how you grow facial hair. But I'm gonna leave it at that. Anyways, okay, so. I'm gonna just speed run this because Ridge calls Trick soft. Trick says there's nothing soft about him. They get into a scuttlebutt, if you will. They fight. Ridge Holland, I don't know if the table was meant to break or not, but when Ridge threw Trick down onto the table, that thing was sturdy, and I don't know if it was meant to break or not. It was teetering, but it did not. So I'm like, oh, I think Trick might actually broke something. That did not look great.
We are moving past some very harsh words that were said to each other. It wasn't just the soft thing. Trick Williams,
I know.
This felt very much like the carry.
I know. I was going to let you. You know what, Macho? Since you're talking about it, I was going to let you do it with your thoughts, but run it down for us. Run it down for us.
So after Ridge makes sure to call him soft, which is like a normal thing, because he's like a big burly dude or whatever. Trick just kind of calls out the vanilla, Ridge Holland, which I actually think Ridge has a lot of charisma for the fact that he's very monotone, right? Like he's not one of these guys who's going to give you a ton of energy, right? And I just really felt like, man, that is a harsh statement to make. And I think when you make a statement like that, right, when it's effective is when the crowd reacts and the person in the ring, whether it's the announcer or anything like that, is shocked. And you could tell Eric's out of practice, because if that was Renee Paquette in the ring and Trick Williams says that he's bland, he's boring, she's giving you everything with her facial expression. And Eric Bischoff just looked like stone-faced, almost like that's low-hanging fruit. You know how Eric Bischoff is. He talks about it a lot on 83 Weeks. When he was on Ariel Helwani this week, just shredding the other company. He believes in character development. And I got to agree, when I was watching this, I listened. I shut my eyes, I rewound it, and I listened to the crowd. They didn't react to that statement, which I think is it's kind of a bad thing. When you make a statement like that on Raw or SmackDown, that crowd is like, oh, right? They didn't care. They were just like, and I think I would like to see Ridge Holland win the title this weekend, like Kevin Owens style.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I think all three of us are in agreement there, and we'll talk about it during predictions. But by the end of this, and Will, I'm going to quote what you sent me in our conversation today too. I was like, Trick going out on a stretcher. Where have we seen this before? And I'm just like, I feel that Trick has always gotten this angle. He always ends up getting beat up on the go home angles since he's been a champion. They did it with Carmelo, they did it with Ilya, they did it with Ethan Page, and now they're doing it with Ridge. I love Trick dearly. I love him to death. I was super happy when he got the NXT championship, but I feel, and I hate to say this, and we'll talk about it during predictions, I feel that we are running to the end of Trick Williams' this current title reign. We will talk about that. And, I don't know if Shawn Michaels is ready to pull the trigger yet, but we will get there with predictions. But yeah, after the rundown, the table spot happens. Everyone's yelling and booing Ridge. Trick has to go out on a stretcher. C'est la vie.
I am a big fan of Trick Williams, but I've realized, and I've said this to you before, Mikey, I feel like he's the better one of the two between him and Melo. But the more I've watched him as champion, the more I've watched him in NXT, I can only come up with one word to describe him. Let's see. It's this crayon color. I don't know if you could see it. This is a shade of green. And then this is another shade of green. And this is another shade of green.
Oh my God.
That man needs to seriously go back to the drawing board. He needs to seriously stand in front of a mirror at his hotel room and cut promos to himself, because he went from having so much charisma and so much like whatever he was giving, it almost feels like we figured it out now. And it's like, dude, we're looking for character development. You can't just get away with what you're doing.
Oh my gosh.
Like
that is what I've been. Oh my gosh, I've been saying this for a while now, and I thought it was crazy to think that because I love Trick. But
he's the same exact.
He reached the ceiling, and he reached the ceiling, and he hasn't gone past that to the next chapter.
Yeah, I can't do it. I just can't. I really thought Ethan Page was like, I was like, well, Ethan's a pro's pro, and of course he's gonna look so much better. No. You're in there with someone who's as green as you are in terms of promo. This guy didn't cut promos when he was with Sheamus. This guy didn't cut promos when he was with Chase U. He's out promoing you right now? What's happening right now? What is this? Like, this is weird. You called him boring? You're boring.
True. And we get to this again. Here we are again. And we talked about it at TNA as well. I think Trick, everybody wanted Trick in this position for so long. Mm-hmm. So the company's like, you know what? He's hot right now. People love him. Let's give it to him. So he gets it. And then he goes as far as he can go with it. And I think and I am going to agree, I think it's time for him to step out, because I don't think he can go any further. Character-wise, he himself and the company have ceilinged him. He is done. He is at the top. I don't think there's what needs to happen is he needs to lose and lose bad. And then he needs to start over, start up from the ground and work his way back up and like create something completely different. Like go back to the old Trick. Cause I love the old Trick. This champion Trick has become super arrogant, super, like they do. They just that's how they make them. They make them
it's
sort of
a little bit of stale too.
Yeah, he has. I'm kind of bored with him. Even when he starts talking, it's like, oh, it's the same shit. We've heard this already.
Well, to use Mancho's analogy, when he talks, it's the same thing. It's not even in a different coat of paint. It's in the same shade. Yeah. There's no levels to his promos anymore. And this is not to disparage Trick, because I love him dearly, and I was one of those people who wanted to see him beat Melo and take the title and be champion, because we were excited. But since he's won even before this too, will probably remember this. Before Melo officially got called up to main roster, that match that happened at Stand and Deliver was not it. That match as the main event poo-pooed on the whole entire morning, because that was everything before that was amazing. The triple threat between Oba, Josh Briggs, and Dijak, Lyra versus Roxanne was fantastic.
We're talking I just don't. That's like the total package.
I know that.
I just don't think they know what to do with him anymore.
Yeah.
No.
That's it. They don't know what to do with him. So that's why he's so bland, because we're seeing the same things recycled over and over and over and over and over again.
Right.
the same flavor, the same everything. Even how he says it is identical. Like his inflections are the same. I mean, yeah, absolutely. And I want a uber villain champion. I want Ridge Holland to take it. I want him to be like the Bond villain, because he kept stroking his beard, and I kept saying he's like stroking his beard like a Bond villain. I want this man as the NXT champion. I want him to take it, and I want him to be this sort of just God. In your TikTok video, you talked about how you should love the bad guys and all that, things like that. I love him.
Yeah.
And he is a full-on bad dude, and I freaking love him.
I agree. I feel like he is everything that is missing, because if you think about it, he has natural heat. He has natural heat that it took other guys to get for years. You think about natural heat, right? You think about Nia Jax has natural heat. Why does Nia have natural heat? It isn't because of there's some things I don't want to bring up here, because I did talk about that earlier today in the TikTok, but I feel like she's got natural heat because she hurts people, right? So then they were like, oh, you know what? Let's use that in the promos. Let's have Becky Lynch call you out about that in the ring. Well, Ridge Holland took Big E away from us. I think people hate him because of that. You gotta strike while the iron's hot, and he's getting better and better and better. And my God, can you imagine, as he's about to lose to Trick Williams, all of the people that need something to do, that are looking for a leader for Chase U, come out and they help him win?
That would be wild.
Like, just the
I want
role.
Thea Hale. Give me Thea Hale coming in to help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost like, oh, we're coming out to screw you over. You took away from us, Chase U. We're taking your opportunity away. And then they pull like an Armageddon, Stephanie McMahon. Just when we think Ridge is gonna, like, they all turn and they beat the crap out of Trick. And then he just hits the whatever Paige's finisher is, because that's what he's using right now. And it's like, oh, just hit that move right on a chair. Or like, just give me that. Yep. But yeah, Trick Williams needs to go back to the drawing board. And I love how you pointed out that it's not just that his promos sound the same. It's that his delivery is exactly the same to the last one. Like, that is a problem. That is a major issue when someone who's sitting on the couch watching wrestling can point out, like, hey, I heard this promo from you last week. It may not be the same words, but the tone in which you're giving it to me is the same. And you haven't earned the right to do that. Like, there are guys like Adam Cole that when he comes out to the ring, the first thing he's going to say is, who's ready for story time with Adam Cole, baby, right? Like, that's how he starts every promo. It's like, well, he's worked 20 years to have that, like, be able to say that. But he's given us tons of great mic work. Like, Trick hasn't done that. And it sucks. I really feel like they tried to go off the whoop that trick and all that, and it stinks. I thought he would be way more developed by now.
Yeah. Well, so we go from this, and the hits just keep on rolling for us, because next we get Carmen Petrovic versus Nikita Lyons. And I'm just like, I still did not realize that belt. I was like, those belt buckles need to be holding on tight, girl. Like, it's one slip up and those things come undone. The match this match. Let's be real. This match wasn't competitive. We knew it wasn't going to be. And really, this match only served the purpose to continue whatever we got going on with Ashanti and Carmen, because that is literally what happens. Nikita takes the L once again in this. And I'm just sitting here. I was like, well, like that's 6 minutes of my time I'm never going to get back. I know that NXT wants to make Nikita Lyons a thing. And I'm like, girl, get your coin, get your thing. I get that. I really do. I'm not going to fault on somebody for getting that bag, if you will. I am not that person. I am not that person. And I'm going to tell you what, as somebody who watches too much wrestling, I love Carmen a little bit more, especially when I saw her throw down at Bloodsport not too long ago against a legend of Sumi Sakai. Check out, spoiler alert, check out review if you want to see that. But I'm like rooting for Carmen but this was not competitive. I hate that Carmen is in this position with this stupid story with Ashanti. And you know what? I'm also going to put it out there. I know it's a character, but I also hate this for Ashanti too. Like, this does nothing. I don't know what's going. Oh, I hate this so much. For a go home show, this was the filler. I did not need this. We did not need this tonight. This was one too many squash matches. The other squash match we got was better, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit. That one I was okay with. This one, I don't know what this was. Moving on. I don't want to talk about this anymore. So after we get Carmen Petrovic and Nikita Lyons and that whole thing that we witnessed, like Maxine Waters, I want to reclaim my time. Backstage, we have Sean Spears and the Goon Squad, as I call them now, because they beat up Tony last week after the, everything that went down. Jet Brooks is there. We have the new face, Nico is his name, I guess. And they're like, we got to make this faction a full. And then they creepily stared as we see Miss Tatum Paxley and my girl that I'm so happy she's back, Miss Gigi Dolan, comes in. The girls are talking. Sean Spears congratulates, Gigi on her return and that he's going to be watching her return match closely. And Gigi is like, thanks. Walks with Tatum a little bit further with them still in earshot, by the way. And Gigi's just like, ew, gross. Like, they grossed me out. And I laughed so hard because Tatum's like, they creep me out. And this is coming from somebody who plays with dolls. And I'm just like, I was like, Tatum, I love you so dearly. And I was just like, Sean, you were uber creepy in this. Like, this was weird. But hey, you know what? Give me Gigi and Tatum as a little tandem. I am here for it. And you know what? Let's just jump straight into it because we didn't have to wait long. Gigi's return match, her versus Izzy Dame. About 5 or 6 minutes or so. I was okay with this. I'm just happy to see Gigi back. I have missed Gigi's character and Gigi's presence in the NXT women's division. In a already stacked women's division in NXT, I love Gigi. I'm biased as hell. Don't care. But yeah, Gigi picks up the win. Sean Spears was watching on. So we shall see what happens with this. Boys, does anybody have any quick thoughts about Izzy versus Gigi or Gigi returning?
I'm a fan of Gigi. I think I've been a fan of her since she was Priscilla. I think she's really good. I think she's definitely a different type of worker, which I enjoy. She's also very hard hitting, which I don't think people realize. Like, she's got that snug in her. Like, she's kind of like the female Sheamus. Like, it's been known that Sheamus hits you pretty hard. He doesn't like hold back. I think she's a good my comment, I don't know if you guys are going to agree with this, but they're wasting Tatum. I'm sorry. She's
lost in limbo.
She needs to go up. To me, Tatum is ready. She's been ready for a while. I mean, I love what we're watching in both rosters. I think they have, with the popularity of Rhea Ripley and what she means to the weird girls and people like us, I feel like a person like Tatum could maximize that because she is just so different. She's so different, and I like she's so brilliant in the ring. And I know she wasn't in this match, and she had a quick little segment, but I think it's little moments like that that make me think that she would cut really good promos on the main roster. She would be really good to see, and I think it's time for a real singles run for Gigi. I don't want to see Gigi in a group. I don't want to see her in attack.
Me too.
I want to see her running her own stuff. Let me see this woman just go out there, talk. Let me see her burn the house down in the ring because we know she can. Like, it really kind of annoys me that she should have been in the opening match.
Right? I know and I'm hoping that Gigi gets to feud. I mean, because she still has beef with, JCJ And I would love for Gigi to be in a long feud with Fallon. And ultimately, I would be okay with Gigi being the one to dethrone Fallon when it comes time for that. I agree with you. I am ready for Gigi to go on a singles run. I feel like she accomplished a lot when it was her and the rest of Toxic Attraction and then tag team and all that. I'm ready for Gigi to go on a solo run. Will, it has been a hot minute since you see our girl Ms. Dolan in the ring. How did you feel about seeing her once again?
I love Gigi. My God, I love her, like hitting bitches in the dark and tackling bitches in the hallway and just being chaos. I freaking love her so much. And I'm absolutely 1000% in agreement with both of you on she needs to go up. She needs to start whooping some ass and getting to the top, because I think even when she was not well, I guess she's still not, but in the past, she's always been sort of in the shadow of somebody, and I think that and I don't know necessarily that it was either she was keeping herself there or the company was keeping her there, but she's a badass in the ring. I mean, she's a badass off in behind the stage. I think she's pretty damn good at promos. When she speaks, people listen, and she's sort of that. I like to think that maybe that's who she really is in real life, because of just her confidence and how she doesn't give a shit what you think about her. And you got something to say, let's say it. Let's throw hands. If you want to shut up, don't say anything. Come at me. I mean, it's like, we can sit here and talk all day, but actions speak louder than words. And I think I would love to see her work her way through the roster and get all the way to the top and just be it. And I also agree with Paxley too, Tatum Paxley. I think she needs to do something. She needs to stop being the quirky sidekick.
Yeah. I honestly thought that when Lyra came to visit, like not too long ago, I thought Lyra was going to take Tatum with her to main roster. Can you imagine? And I don't mean to put all the quirky weird girls together, but if you were to go on Raw, like, can you imagine if we had her and Nikki Cross and her current character interact? That'd be really fun. And honestly, Tatum would somehow fit well with Alba and Isla over on SmackDown too. Like,
I think she needs to. Yeah, I agree. I think she needs to go off somewhere with the other weird girls and form a faction. And
if NXT is not going to give her a championship, I think Tatum is ready to move on. Because honestly, I would have loved, even though it would have been a short title reign, I would love to see Tatum beat Fallon. But numbers game is a thing, so we'll see. Gigi wins against Izzy. I love this. Poor Izzy, so we're trying to figure out what to do with her since, Kiana James got called up to main roster and now she's not on television because of injury. So that is the thing that happened. After this, we get, this is the only note I wrote between this Javon Evans and X-Pac interaction. I just wrote, I want to be Javon when I get older and just be living out his dreams, meeting legends just because. Like, that's all I have. X-Pac, I love you dearly. I really do. Promo game is not your thing right now, but that is okay. You forever and a day live in my heart. I love you. Also, if you've seen him, he is in the incredible shape for a man of his age. I want to be that when I get older. Which leads us into our main event of the show. And personally, I really enjoyed this match and slightly maybe my match of the night to give in with what we had. But we had the men's last chance Iron Survivor qualifier, in which we saw Eddie Thorpe, Axiom, Cedric Alexander, and Lexus King fight it out to earn the 5th and final spot in the men's Iron Survivor Challenge. And of course, we get shots of everybody watching. Nathan Frazier is out there to support Axiom. Javon is in the crowd. Wes Lee is watching from the bird perch. And Ethan Page is on commentary. As soon as things kicked off and Eddie Thorpe kicked Lexus King in the face, I knew it was on like Donkey Kong. And I honestly think that for a quick match that these four gave me lots of things that I really enjoyed. There was craziness happening. I still always wondering is somebody like how they're going to recover after Axiom hits the golden ratio on people, because that kick looks devastating. Cedric Alexander's flying all over the place. Eddie Thorpe is doing his thing, but Lexus Mother Tucking King impressed the hell out of me in this match. And I wrote in my notes, this is the Lexus I want to see 24/7 in NXT. If this is the direction we're going with Lexus, give it to me right now.
No, that was not Lexus King. That was Brian Pillman Jr. That spot with the Owen Hart pin into a Northern Lights suplex pin, that was Brian Pillman. That was Flying Brian from WCW before the foot injury. When I watched that spot, I was like, yeah, that's got to be where we're going. It's got to be. We got it. Like, Lexus King has to be like the Clark Kent. That's kind of how I feel. Like, we're about to unveil Superman. That's what we're about to do. And to me, it's just like, all right. When I watched this, he was the star. He was the star of the match for me, and I really wanted Axiom to win this. What's his face? Yeah, I really wanted, like, I was just like, man, this guy, he impresses me by the week. I want more from him, and I want more of this. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was just that loss to Dempsey, where it's just like, hey, let's get your character a little more refined. Let's get your in-ring set better. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get like a montage in a couple of weeks of him training with William Regal as like, let's get some of these spots here. Let's work on here. Like, I think that would be really good for him. I was super impressed. Really dug this match. Definitely the match of the night for me. I have no idea why they ended with the winner. I was just like, okay. Like, so, I guess.
So I understand that, but of course, I'm going to let Will do most of the talking here, but me and Will have a big bias towards Eddie, but that's because we got to see, before Eddie got hurt, we got to see him in this. At times, it almost crossed the problematic lines when he and Dijak were feuding. But, you know, we enjoyed the feud for what it was because Eddie, we got to see a different side of Eddie, which was channeling his actual like Native American heritage into his character more, which we love. And of course, you see that in his entrance and everything as well. But yeah, I agree with you. This was my match of the night. Will Eddie Thorpe finally win something? It's been a hot minute since you've seen Eddie.
Yay. Yeah, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that Eddie won. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Axiom. I think Axiom is fantastic. This match really made me like Lexus King a hell of a lot more than I have in the past. And I'm just waiting for the day where he comes out and he goes, you know what, everybody? I am my father. And then he kicks everybody's ass. And I would be like, I'm here for that. I'm here for that. You've been denying yourself your father's influence since you got here. You know, your dad was a badass. Why? I'm not saying you are your dad, but it's okay to have a little bit of your dad in you. You know what I'm saying? So, but this was my match of the night too. I think it was the strongest match of the evening, the whole evening. And I love all the guys that were fighting. I mean, it was just really good. I really, really enjoyed it. I liked all the, this is the funny thing about this in comparison to the first one at the very beginning. This one felt like the stakes were high. Like, these men were fighting for a spot. I mean, they were fighting for a spot. And I wish that the women's was identical to this. I really do. Because, I mean, but yeah, this one was great. And I think, and like I said, I was blown away by Lexus King. I really was. Because I was actually watching him wrestle as opposed to the crap he's done in the past, which is sort of half-ass. And then maybe that was the plan all along. I don't know. But in this one, I was like, wow, look at you, man. Like, you're actually moving like a wrestler. Like, I would have thought you've been doing this your whole life, And so that was super impressive. And of course, Axiom always impresses me. I love Axiom. I love his moves. I love everything. So I was, but I'm an Eddie Thorpe fan, and I'm super excited because that man has been through some shit. I mean, through some shit, and he deserved it. I
Yeah,
mean, he did.
we almost crossed some very
Yeah,
very
Yeah, we
problematic.
did.
We almost crossed some problematic lines when he was feuding with Dijak because it gave me slavery and colonizer tease, but like
Oh yeah.
he
Well, like
ended
when
up
he would like
winning.
tie him to a tree and whip him. Yeah.
That shit was so wild. I was like, I cannot believe that we're watching this on NXT TV. This was wild.
Not just once. He did
Multiple
it twice. And I was just like, oh my God. Yeah, it was rough.
It was wild. And this was such a great show. I thought this was a fun way to end the night. This was wait, no, what you mean? I got like 10 more minutes in this show. What is okay? I'm just gonna say this and we'll quickly talk about it because it's this this is the third deadline. This is the third year that we are doing this deadline pay-per-view, and the third year we are doing this Iron Survivor Challenge. The last 2 years should have been an indicator because they've always had the women close out to fight and brawl, and it does nothing for me. I will say though, let's talk about Roxanne though, because Roxanne comes out. She is not in this match. Her bestie Cora is not in this match, but the winner gets a shot at Roxanne's title, and it will probably be at New Year's Evil, like the other two last year's winners, where it was the matches for New Year's Evil in January. Roxanne, she comes out. She gets onto this microphone. I feel like we're going to have some varying degrees of things here to say. So Roxanne gets on the microphone. She talks about, what this match means, how it changed her, because lest we forget too, Roxanne was the first Iron Survivor winner when we did this first time round, and she ended up going on to beat Mandy Rose to become NXT champion in the first run when she was a face. So she recalls her own match, but everybody is now, they're fighting to second best her, and then she verbally runs down everybody else. She first congratulates Ren Sinclair and says that no one believed in her, and that's going to continue to be. I was like, damn, Roxanne. I was like, we just had to go there. I was like, I gave Roxanne that one. I was like, that was cold. That was great. Then, Sol Ruka was the first qualifier, and she's one soul snatcher away, but she can't snatch Roxanne's soul. I was like, okay, that was okay. Then Julia can't beat Roxanne when it counts, and I'm just like, I don't think we watched the same thing, but okay. And then Zarya and Stephanie have beaten her in tag team matches, but Roxanne has always proved that no matter whether you've traveled the whole world, that nobody can beat her. And then that's when all the participants come out. First it's Sol Ruka, then Zarya, Stephanie, Julia. Roxanne states is that all of you are in this ring, but you have to get through each other first before you can get to me. We had these women just start brawling out of nowhere. I was like, I don't feel like that was enough provocation, but we got to have the women fight in some capacity. I will tell you, my favorite part of this whole thing is the Ren just comes out of nowhere and cold clocks Roxanne and tells her, that she's coming for the title and that she's going to win. But oh no, we have to cut backstage really quickly because this is not how we ended the show. But before we get into the final bit, I feel like we're going to be on different sides of this. I'm going to start with Macho first. Walk me through this. How did you feel about Roxanne's promo and the way that we always seem to have the women participants fight to end the show?
I'm a big NFL fan. I love my team, right? There's a guy that plays in Kansas City, and when I watch him play, I don't think anybody could beat him at all. Like, I'm just like, this guy's unstoppable. He's the best. And I love that he trash talks, and he knows he's the best. Like, he's like, I'm him. I'm here, right? I'm so happy that we have a woman in professional wrestling that is letting the world know I'm unbeatable. Like, you can't beat me. You line them up, I keep beating them. I keep taking everything from you. Every single person you want to take my championship has failed. I figure out a way to do it, and it doesn't matter. And I said this before the NFL season started this year. I was like, all right. I was like, okay, here's my Super Bowl prediction. It's Kansas City, and then whoever's going to come in second place. That's how I feel, and that's kind of the promo that we got from Roxanne, right? Like, she said, whoever wins this match is just going to lose to me, so what's the big deal? I loved that. I was so pumped. I was like falling asleep, and she just cut this promo. I thought it was amazing, and I love that they went right. Stephanie and Julia they just started banging out. Like, I was just like, hold up, you guys are like friends. Like, they didn't even care. They were just like,
I will say, I appreciated that because they realized what's at stake here. And they're just like, we'll be friends later, but I'm going to beat your butt for this chance to get this title.
I loved it. I was just like, wow. Now, the guy in me sent Mikey a text when Stephanie came out because I was just like, what is she doing? I was just like, hold on.
I was like, this is almost not safe for television.
Yeah, I was like,
yo.
I was just
Stephanie
like,
knows what
up
she's
here,
doing.
Stephanie.
I love her for it.
You know, I was just like, wow. But then, yeah, I watched this and I was just super happy with it. I thought it was great. I loved it. And yeah, I would say if you took a little bit of this and you added it to the Raw Women's Champ, like just this promo, if you added this, right, like she would be better, because I think right now she's the best version of that she's ever been. But if you took a little bit of this, like, no one can beat me. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna outsmart everybody. I'm always gonna win. I think that version of this character is amazing. I love it. I love it.
Alrighty. So we have heard Macho's reasoning. Will, we come to you next because you had some interesting things when you were watching this. So Will, walk me through your feelings of this promo.
Did I really? Did I have interesting things? It's so funny. I send messages to you all the time and I never remember what I say.
Let's go to the receipts. Let's read them out loud. I'm just kidding.
No, we can't. I literally don't remember what I said. Was it in Discord that we talked? It was in Discord.
It is. Hang on. Let me see. Oh, this is what we wrote.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, I got them now. Okay. So
okay. There you go.
It's like
I agree with the second point underneath that one, though, that says you are a little biased, but you would love to see this person.
Yeah, I did say the first thing I said is, so Roxanne hasn't gotten much better at promos, I see. And not what she says, because what she said was badass. She just there's something in the way she delivers that just feels amateur. Not what she's saying, because what she's saying, and I'm agreeing with Macho on your feelings of it, she had me. I was with her the whole time. I'm just like, God, I just need you to fix whatever that is. That just it sticks out to me, and I don't know why. The other one is I may, yeah. I mean, if she, and then my whole thing was like, she just fixed whatever the hell that is, she could conquer the world. Like, I would follow her forever. It's just, I believe in what you're saying, but there's something that's in my brain going, don't. So I don't know.
I love it.
And then the second thing I said is I may be a little biased, but I would love to see Stephanie take the title from Roxanne.
Yeah.
I would love to see that. I freaking love Stephanie. She is like, again, strong women. Ever since I saw her over at CMLL, yep. I am in love with her. I'm just like, if she became the next champion, I would be like, okay, I'm here. Let's do it. I'm on your side, girl. What you want? What do you need me to do for you? Because I will do it for you.
I will overthrow a tiny nation in your honor.
I will indeed. I will overthrow somebody. I don't know. But that was my, yeah. And I agree. And I think, and again, Macho, I'll agree with you in the fact that it is refreshing to have a woman in the title who is like, I'm it. That's me. None of you obviously can defeat me because you haven't yet. So I love that confidence. I love that. The one critique I will give this whole segment, other than the promo part, is when they all came out and she felt small. And it was because of what she was doing. Because she was doing the whole, oh no, guys, don't hurt me. and that bugged me.
Yeah, it doesn't work for her because we've seen her attack people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like we've never seen her kind of cower away. So
Yeah.
it was a different version. Now I get it if like the thing is there's 3 powerhouse women in this match. So like if Zarya wins or if Julia wins or if Stephanie wins, like I could see Roxanne playing the cowardly heel.
Right.
But if they pull a swerve and they have Ren win, like she's got to go, like you can't just flip the switch. Like, you know what I mean? Like I personally think it's going to be Julia. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. I want it to be Stephanie though. I just think that
it probably
I think that I know it's going to sound stupid. I have something to say about something I noticed about these 2 specific women that I'll talk about when we do our predictions. But yeah, I agree with you. Her cowardly thing doesn't make sense for her character.
It doesn't work. It doesn't, I mean, even if you're trying to like lower the bar, it didn't work for me. I was like, no, you literally just stood there telling us how you're the king of the world.
And then you cower.
Then you cower. And it's like, you should have been like, whoa, before you get to me, you got to get through each other.
And I
would have been like, hell yes.
The other thing as well is, even though this is heel Roxanne, if you look at Roxanne's title defenses, if we're looking at both, championship reigns and the list of women that she should not have to cower, even with the likes of Julia and Stephanie and Zarya. Like, do we need to remember that Roxanne beat Japanese legend Meiko Satomura for that title in a really great title defense? She beat Mandy Rose for the title. She's beaten other women. Like, she went to main roster and won matches too when they were having NXT folks be a part on like SmackDown for a little bit. Roxanne has a list of title defenses. She beat Lyra for the title. She's had some really fun ones. And honestly, it was really, again, I agree with both of you. It's really weird for Roxanne to, create smallness in herself with this. And then, yeah, it's going to be weird. But really quickly, the way that the show truly ends is, just like Monday Night Raw, the backstage area is not safe this week in any wrestling promotion, especially in NXT. We thought the parking lot was a dangerous place, but now backstage is also chaotic AF because Eddie Thorpe has gotten jumped backstage. And I just sat there. I was just like, how you going to do this man like that? How you gonna do this man like that? I was like, damn, poor Eddie can't catch a break, because this is what has happened to him not once but twice already. We got the same thing when Dijak jumped him too. I was like, damn. I was like, y'all are just letting this Native American folk get to jump backstage. Like, what is happening? Like, what is happening?
I mean, he shouldn't have jumped Moana. That's why he shouldn't have hit her. That's what happened.
Moana. Wouldn't it be crazy if it was Lance Anoa'i or even Hikuleo that is behind this attack? I would be here for it, but that's for.
I was gonna say, I thought it was Hikuleo. I was like, yeah, Ava brought him in. Like, oh, you got me? Okay, I got you too.
I'm gonna get you back. But that is how NXT goes off the air. It's crazy.
And this is what I was talking about. This is the other thing I was talking about. They always do this. This is the thing they always do. For once, one moment, for just once in NXT, the cameras rush in there and we see somebody else standing over him with a blunt instrument, like, and then cut away. So then we could be like, oh my God. And it's not really them, but we think it is. And give me some kind of mystery. This is just, it's just the same stuff, just regurgitated. And I'm like, okay, now we're gonna spend like, all of the pay-per-view trying to figure out who attacked Eddie. And then after that, who was it that attacked? It's like Trick Williams all over again.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We spent a month and a half and we wasted a PLE match for Lexus King just to
Yeah.
tell us it wasn't him.
It wasn't me.
It was so weird.
Yeah. So
But
anyway.
that does bring us to the end of this NXT review, but we are not done yet because we are now going to be jumping into predictions for Deadline. So now we're into our pay-per-view section of NXT. We got the change of background and everything. I have put these matches in order in which I deemed them from beginning of the card to main event, like big time matches, if you will. So if you have an issue with it, at me in the comments. We'll talk. So Deadline is going to be taking place this Saturday from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And the first match we're going to talk about, I got to say, I really enjoy these graphics this year. I like these graphics better this year. The proportions are a little weird for sure, but I still dig them. But the first match we're going to talk about is the one that got made this episode. Is an NXT Underground match. Lola Vice taking on Miss Jada Parker. My head tells me that Lola's going to win because so far she's undefeated in Underground matches. My heart wants Jada Parker to win. I want Jada to win so bad. So this is the second time I'm going to drop a curse word and that be it. So I said, fuck it. And I'm going to go with Jada on this one. I don't care. I want Jada to win so bad. I'm going to manifest that into the world.
I was going to pick Lola for this, but that promo, if I know anything about pro wrestling, if I know anything, I feel like that promo won her the match. I feel like Jada. Now, I will say I'm definitely an advocate for reminding wrestling fans that you do not need to win a match to be put over. But that promo from Jada will be talked about for years to come. Like I mentioned a promo earlier, Adam Cole and Karrion Kross in the ring. That promo is still talked about. They feel like it set Karrion Kross back years. Years that promo set him back. I feel like this is one of those promos. Jada, I feel like that was a star-making moment. And if it's not, and we're all wrong, that it's a massive failure by this company.
Will, who you got winning this one? So NXT Underground, we know this is Lola's specialty, but we also have Jada. Who you going with this one?
I'm going with Jada because one, the promo was badass, but you also know when you watch wrestling enough, you know when the end is coming, and it's how they talk. It's the conversations that happen. And I honestly feel that conversation has shifted away from Lola and towards Jada. So I'm thinking that's why I went with her, because you can feel, and it's really weird. You can just feel when they're about to do a switch up. And this just feels like that. And now I could be completely wrong and they totally got me, but usually my feelings on these are pretty accurate. But this one has that feel that, because this Underground match is Lola's thing, and she said that more than once. So there are clues. I think that because she has said that more than once, I think she's going to lose, because then she's like, she can't say, oh, these are my thing now. And now Jada could be like, now they're mine. It's like you can almost sense when it's happening. And that's when I was listening to Lola talk about it, and I think she mentions it 2 or 3 times, that the Underground this, or my Underground, or I'm this, that, and the other. And I was like, she's been saying that an awful lot in this little short period of time. So to me, it feels like we're starting to lean away from her and towards Jada. And that's why I went with Jada. And she was just badass. she just got me. I mean, she really did. That promo just got me.
We'd love to see it. Alrighty, so that is the first match. Next one we're going to talk about, Tag Team Championship match. I'm so mad that this is the photo we're using of Tavion. I'm just putting it out there. I was like, how dare you, NXT? But anyways, So this is going to be Nathan Frazier's going to have a very busy night because he's going to have to fight twice. So this is for the NXT Tag Team Championships. We have Fraxium, so Nathan Frazier and Axiom taking on our number one contenders that won the Battle Royale this week in No Quarter Catch Crew, being represented by Tavion Heights and Miles Bourne. So this is where I alluded to earlier. This is the, do it or get off the pot moment. I think that Nathan and Axiom have done a fantastic job of being a team and putting these titles and having really fun matches. I think this is the end. This needs to be the end of this current chapter and the story for them. And because if they beat No Quarter Catch Crew, I'm trying to figure out who else is left for Fraxium to go up against. And because of the story we've been telling, again, I've been saying this multiple times, and Macho has gotten tired of me saying this. The will they, won't they needs to stop. This needs to be the pay-per-view where we finally pull the trigger on this thing one way or another. So I am going against the grain, against my better judgment. I am going to say that No Quarter Catch Crew wins this match. I am picking them in this predictions. I think that Nathan and Axiom, I think it's time to split them or to have them feud against each other for a little bit. But I think Fraxium needs to come to an end for now here. So I'm going with No Quarter Catch Crew.
Well, I'm going with No Quarter Catch Crew as well. And again, it goes down to watching for the signs. And we've, over the last few weeks, we've seen the crack starting to form between Axiom and Nathan. Like little things here, little things there. And then tonight there was that big thing that happened. And then I think that I honestly believe that we're shifting again. I think we're going to shift to a new team. And so I'm going with No Quarter Catch Crew on this one because it just feels like that's what they're doing.
I have a completely different take. I think they're retaining, and I think it's because of who the booker is. I think we're going back to King of the Ring 97.
Oh damn.
I think they're going to win this match. Frazier's going to lose his Iron Survivor match. And then we're going to get a promo from them in the next couple weeks where Axiom says, if I was in that match, I would have won. And then I think we're going to get booked the tag champs one-on-one at a PLE.
Hell yeah.
If you go back to 97 with
crazy.
Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin, they were tag champs. And that's what happened. They were the worst tag champs ever. They hated working with each other. And I really think that would be such a brilliant way to break them up because I'm just like, all right, here we go. Like, we got it, and then whoever wins the one-on-one... Well, nobody won that 97 match, obviously, but if nobody wins here, it either puts them together or it separates them, and I would love it if that match brought them together, and in the very next title defense, they lose the titles. So it's just like, oh.
That's funny. Because I was thinking something like that earlier, and I was like, nah, surely they're not going to, repeat something like, well, not necessarily that one. But I was thinking also in the same vein is they lose the tag team, but Nathan wins the Iron Challenge and basically tells Axiom that he did it on his own.
Yeah, that would be cool.
So now I'm kind of flip flopping because now that you put that earworm in my ear, I'm just like,
how dare you be a flipper flapper? I'm just kidding.
I love it. No, I love it because now I'm kind of leaning more. I think I'm going to change. I think I'm going to go with them because I like your theory.
Yeah,
and I'm kind of like, even if they lose and Nathan wins, I mean, there's going to be a split. There's going to be a split up some way, somehow. Yeah. You kind of won me over now. Okay, I'm going to switch my answer. I'm going to go with I'm going to go with they're going to retain because I like that. I think that's totally plausible.
Fine, be that way.
I didn't even think about that. I was like, no, truly. I was like, God, that makes total freaking sense.
Yeah,
I love that.
All right, you converted me.
I love it. I love it so much. This is why I love this trio. So it's 2-on-1 here. So I'm okay with that. So now let's get into our next match. Surprisingly, I put this as the third match we're going to talk about for the NXT Championship. Trick Williams defending the title against Ridge Holland.
Mhm.
You know, under different circumstances, I would have said Trick. Again, I'm going against my better judgment, and I don't care at this point. I'm going to go with Ridge. I want to see Ridge take this title. And not just because I think it would be, not only because I think it would be fun to have this heelish Bond villain, Ridge Holland, be a champion, but I feel like it would be a really good way to capitalize on the fact that Ridge had Ridge beat Andre, and Chase U is no more because of Ridge. You cannot give him that momentum for him to not give him a championship or something to do this. So I feel like if Ridge doesn't walk out of this as champion, then I was like, what was the point of him, destroying Chase
And I
U?
absolutely agree with you. I think that, yeah, the momentum, they just can't, you can't drop it. It's because you're right. I mean, he destroyed Chase U.
Mhm.
He's coming. I mean, he's literally like, he is one of those bad guys that wants to set the world on fire just to watch it burn.
Mhm.
Whether he burns up in it or not is irrelevant. That's the whole thing of, like, that villain who will blow up a building that he's in just because he can. So I mean, I can see it. I can and I really want Ridge to take this from Trick. I really do. I just think Ridge would be a great champion. I think he would. I think he'd be a great champion and a super heel champion, and I could see beautiful, wonderful things being done. I mean, with him in that role, I could too. So I'm going with Ridge Holland as well.
Yeah, I'm going with Ridge Holland as well, and it's because of something John Cena said in an interview a while back. Not a while back, recently, where they asked him why did he lose to Lesnar at SummerSlam the way he did. And his answer has just stuck in my brain, and it made me think, and Mike, you just said it, like, he just broke apart Chase U. And Cena said very clearly, he said, yeah, let's do it, because it was Lesnar's idea. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it. How do you want to do it? How many suplexes? And when he answered it, he's like, you just beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Of course you're going to crush me. Like, if you don't, it ruins that win, right? So if Ridge Holland loses this match, then why did they have him separate Chase U? What would be the purpose of that? It would just to break apart a team for what? You created a villain. You created a monster. Let's go with it. Let's use it. Let's get that natural heat. Natural heat is so hard to get in professional wrestling. It is so hard. It's not organic anymore. And there are people that have organic heat and they lose it quickly. And we can lose it. Like, look, Monday night, the crowd was chanting Dirty Dom in a match with Gunther. And it was just like, hold up, people. You're supposed to be booing this man. What are you doing? So, like, they need to do it now before people start to realize what the three of us realize, that Ridge is really, he's interesting. He's fun to watch. And he turns into a babyface, and then they don't have a good heel. Let's do it. Trick is a really good babyface. Like, let's put him out. I want a repeat of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I want Ridge to knock him out and the ref to stop the match. I don't even want him to
amazing.
I want him to knock him out. That'd be so good.
Yeah. And this is not a bad thing to say, but I've always enjoyed Trick being the one to chase rather than be a champion, or at least in this run. So I think Trick, will always forever be supported by the NXT universe. And I think losing to Ridge ultimately wouldn't hurt him. So all three of us have picked Ridge. Now let's get into the more convoluted stuff. So I'm going to say I'm less interested in this match, but when you look at the women, I'm just like, oh, the women better main event this shit, because if not, I'm going to be mad. I'm just putting it out there. I'm still think this is going to be great. So this is the Men's Iron Survivor Challenge, in which we have Nathan Frazier, Javon Evans, Wesley, All Ego Ethan Page, and as of right now, Eddie Thorpe. So what's the winner of this match does get becomes the number 1 contender for the NXT Championship, and that match will probably more than likely happen at New Year's Evil as we did last year. I'm gonna be all the way 100. I'm looking at this field. There's only one person I really want to see, and I love all 5 of these men individually. I'm going with Wes on this one. I think it's Wes's time. I think Wes is that dude, and I think it's Wes. I'm gonna pick Wes here. I think it's time for Wes to go up into the main NXT Championship picture, or at least begin that journey there. So I'm picking Wes to win this one.
I'm going Javon.
Ooh,
I think Wes is the heel, and so is Ridge Holland. I just don't think we'll do heel versus heel. So I think Javon is the obvious pick. He's the only babyface.
that's fair.
Like, out of all of them, like, yeah, Nathan's supposed to be a babyface, but I don't know. I've been watching a lot of Christmas movies, and he just reminds me so much of like these villains in rom-com movies. Like, it's just like he's just such a jerk. Like, it's I don't know. I'm going Javon.
Who's a jerk?
Nathan Frazier. I said I've been watching a bunch of Christmas movies, and he just reminds me of like Buzz from like Home Alone, and just funny. Just rude for no reason. Like, there's absolutely no reason for it.
It's out of pocket, out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's just like, dude, you're not even funny rude. Like, there's funny rude. You're not
funny
not
rude.
Yeah,
just
you
a
know,
jerk.
like.
So so I have Wes. Macho, you have Javon. Will, who you got for this one?
This is a hard one.
I know.
Because there are 3 in here that any of those 3 I would love for them to win. And I just
I'm gonna tell you right now who I don't want to see, and it's not because of him, it's because he's been in the championship enough in the last couple months. I do not want to see Ethan Page win this thing. I feel like we've already done that. I love Ethan.
I'm very much like either Eddie or Javon or Wes. And it's just like and I think there's a reason for each of them to win. That's the thing, this is why it's so hard for me, because I'm just like, and it's not necessarily a matter of who deserves it more. It's just like they each have their own reasons, and so I'm really conflicted on who to pick for this. I really don't know. I mean, my initial, if I had one any eeny meeny miny mo, it'd be probably Wes. But I'm also Javon.
It's tough, especially when you have these multiple people.
And then Eddie, because God, I just want to see the man win something. I literally just want to see him win something.
This match is always unpredictable, as we saw last year too. I mean, granted, it was in storyline purposes, but Trick was in dead last until the last 3 minutes of the match last year, and then he basically eliminated everyone. Plus, I got one more victory in the final 30 seconds of this match.
Right.
So anything can happen.
Okay, I'll just go with Wesley.
Okay.
I just don't, but if any of those other 2 win, I'll be perfectly happy with it.
Now let's make it even more difficult. What I think should be main eventing deadline, in my personal opinion. I'm going to be honest. I don't care if you know what? Even Ren would be a weird swerve, but even her, I love her. But I'm going to be real. I would be fine with Ren as at the bottom of my totem pole, and then there's no particular order for the remaining 4 women. Honestly, Julia, Sol, Zarya, and Stephanie, I am okay with any one of those 4 winning. This one, I want this to main event so bad, because we always start and end with a deadline with the Iron Survivor match. I want the women to main event this one, especially with the power that you have with this whole entire match. That being said, my heart, I love Stephanie. I would love nothing more than her to win. I'm going to go with Julia, though, because we started out Julia and Roxanne having beef, and then Stephanie got brought in. I'm going to go with Julia, because I think Julia, ultimately, if we don't get a triple threat, I think Julia and Roxanne are going to have a banger. So I'm going to go with Julia on this one to win. But again, I can make an argument for anybody else in this match too, because it's either between, for me personally, it's either Julia, Stephanie, and I'm gonna put Soul as my third choice if I had to pick three. I think Soul is also ready to go after that championship, especially after the work she's done this year and coming back from injury too. So, but I got, if I had to pick one, I'm going with Julia.
I'm thinking Julia's winning. And I know this sounds really dumb. This sounds really dumb, but I've really thought about it. And I just looked it up just to make sure that I'm not wrong about this. She's the only one that has merch on WWE Shop.
That's also very fair.
They just released her merch like over a week ago. And I was just like, yeah, I mean, she's dope. Don't get me wrong. I love her. I loved her match with Kairi in Japan. I think she's awesome. But like, I thought Stephanie was like the push. Like I thought she was the person that we were like pushing to the top. Like she feels like she got the pin over, Roxanne in the tag match. And I felt like, okay, it's her. But then I was like, this really feels like they're saying like they're gonna put the rocket on Julia like they did Asuka. That's what it feels like. And I'm not mad at it. Like whatever. That just means Stephanie will be in NXT for longer. That's great. That's fine. That's awesome. I mean, I love Julia. I think she's gonna kill it. I love both of them. Don't know a lot about Zarya, so I can't really say that. I think Soul is really, really good. Ren is she reminds me of Roxanne the first year.
That's
like
true.
That's what she reminds me of. Like that's kind of like, oh, I could see a surprise there. But yeah, I think it's Julia. And it's partially because she has that, and another thing, I think she speaks a little bit better English than Stephanie as well. I think that's a big indicator too.
Yeah, that's also, unfortunately, that has to be a factor too, especially with our girls coming in from over the world. Alrighty, Will, let's throw you into the fire once again. Let's make this difficult for you. Who you got? You're yeah.
Yeah, my computer is being weird. Sorry, guys.
It's all good.
I'm going with Julia because I think it's she first in. I'm like, they brought her in for a reason, so I just think that she's the logical choice. Even though I would love Stephanie, oh my god, I would love that, but I don't think it's her time yet. So that's me.
Cool.
I'm easy.
Alrighty. Well, that brings us to the end of our predictions. Next Wednesday, you can catch us for a double dose of NXT, because not only will we be covering Deadline, we'll give a bullet point list review of the episode as well. So we're mostly going to focus on Deadline next Wednesday, but also touch upon NXT as well. This has been a really fun show. I'm going to speed run through our outro because some of us got to go, but of course I am excited. So gentlemen, it's always been a pleasure. We will chat once we go offline really quickly, but thank you so much for turning into this additional big time episode of NXTilosos. We will be back next Wednesday, not only to cover Deadline, but to also cover and talk about the NXT show as we build to the end of 2024 and probably get an announcement of when New Year's Evil is going to take place, which is going to be interesting. But for myself, Will, and Macho here, and the rest of the BC Wrestle Pod family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will catch you later. But until then, sayonara, adios, and we'll catch you later.